All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening from every part of the world where you see this from. I'm grateful that you are here again. God bless your heart. Thank you for those that continues to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. And for those that are new here, you definitely will be edified and blessed. Very quickly, my name is Akintayo Korede Michael, and you must have heard me say that I'm healthily crazy about healthy relationships and great marriages. And so, very quickly, today we'll be discussing something I believe is important to building a healthy relationship. It's important to building any healthy love relationship, yeah. And we're going to be saying or talking about everything vulnerability today. And the topic could be, if you want, the dangers of not being vulnerable with your spouse, or the dangers of not being vulnerable to your partner with your partner, I meant to say. So it's everything vulnerability that we'll be discussing today. In my last video I mentioned it a little. I think that's the six shocking reason you are not so close to your partner. I think I mentioned vulnerability and I mentioned it slightly, but today I'm just going to be sharing everything that can bless your heart as regards vulnerability. In my opinion, I would want to say, in all sincerity, and this is not because I have to talk about this today. The topic and the issue of vulnerability is scarcely talked about, and is scarcely taught. In fact, if you sample 20 persons or just survey 20 or 30 persons and ask them to just make any or just give you any word that should serve as a register to love or love relationship, you will see that very few persons, maybe two or three, will tell you or will talk about vulnerability or will say something close to it. Now, maybe people don't know the word, maybe the word is scarce or rare in their mind, but I don't know even if this is just the devil trying to fight people not to know the exact thing that is important for building any healthy relationship, because this is really pivotal. And I'm going to give you one major reason why this is pivotal, or that just helps you believe that serves as an evidence to the key or the importance of this. I believe is in Genesis 2 verse 24 now. The Bible speaking, it says that a man will leave his father and his mother, and he says he's going to cleave to his wife. He said something very powerful. He said, and they are going to be one flesh. Now that's in Genesis 2 verse 24. But something is very powerful to understand. In verse 25, he says, and the man and the woman were naked. He said, and they are not ashamed, or they were not ashamed. Now, that's a very powerful statement to make. Now, it goes ahead to say that, therefore, for this reason, a man will leave his family, meaning his father and his mother. These are the closest person to this man until this moment. He said, and then he would cleave to his wife, and they will become one flesh. Now, the evidence that they can become one flesh, the possibility of them becoming one flesh, is actually the next verse. And so the Bible says in the next verse, the proof that they can become one flesh is that they were naked and they were not ashamed. You see that? And so this is very important. The proof that you can actually progress in any healthy relationship, the proof that your relationship is healthy, the proof that you have a marriage that is actually fruitful, is this one thing, very powerful, that you are naked and you're not ashamed. And sincerely, that is the exact definition for being vulnerable, that you are naked and you are not ashamed. Let me say this very quickly. There are several things that actually could be a problem or a weakness with the person that you are going out with, or the person that you are in a relationship with. But when the attribute of vulnerability is not evident in your relationship, you can't discuss it. You can't move forward. You see that? You don't know how to talk about it. Now, I must sincerely admit that vulnerability, or the issue of vulnerability, is actually something that has been scary for many persons. It's in fact a scary word, because it's more like showing someone who you are, showing someone the entirety of who you are. It's more like giving people the power to see what they can use in taking advantage of you. But not minding. Do you see that? Do you see that? And then the other way to be vulnerable from their end too is that even when they know these things, they are still so perfectly in love with you. They still want to do life with you. You see, the idea is everybody is. I've said this a few times that everybody continues to grow. If you're in this part of the divide or in this part of the world, we continue to grow. You see that every one person that you know is laden with one weakness or the other that we continue to grow to becoming better at. Do you see that? And so the idea is not we are not dealing with perfect people necessarily. Do you see that? And so if you are not dealing with perfect people, then there is the attribute that is important, that is called vulnerability, that must be in your relationship for it to progress, for it to be healthy. So very quickly, what is the definition for vulnerability? Just want to put this out so that you really can understand what I'm saying. It's actually a strength, and that's another important to say. Vulnerability is not weakness. In fact, many persons have termed it to be weakness, but it is not weakness. It is important to say this. Vulnerability is actually the strength and ability that allows you to disclose and open up on the things that you will naturally be protective or defensive about to mere people. You see that? Now, I intentionally had mere people there because you will not necessarily be vulnerable to everybody in every season. You see that? Very powerful. So, vulnerability is actually the strength and the ability that allows you to disclose and be open about what you will naturally be defensive about and what you will naturally be protective about to mere people. So now it won't come natural for someone to talk about maybe their area of weaknesses. It won't almost come natural for someone to talk about maybe their past failures or be interested to really talk about naturally the areas that they failed. You see that. So a few reasons why people then struggle with their partner. Some of the few reasons why people struggle with their partner. One of it can be that people don't really understand the idea of vulnerability. They have not really been taught what vulnerability is. You know, for some persons, this word seems exactly like weakness. When you mention the word vulnerability, people just think it's weakness. So for some person, it might be the communication about vulnerability, what it does mean, or they have a wrong idea about the concept called vulnerability. Another reason why people struggle with vulnerability or being vulnerable with their partner sometimes is the past environment that they've consistently been in. You see, some people have been in an environment that is consistently judgmental in nature. You see that, and because of that, they've always been in the mood to impress people. They are not just living their correct and their original life. So it is always in a mode to impress people because people have consistently proven to them to be judgmental or proven to them that they didn't do something right. Now, it's not far-fetched to find wrong people in this side of the divide, but when you then make it like it's a deadly thing that people went wrong or people did wrong things, not giving them the room to change or to correct them in love so that they can change, not wanting to take the mode of wanting to impress other persons, that would greatly help. So for some persons, the reason why they've consistently struggled with being vulnerable is because they have found themselves in an environment consistently that is judgmental in nature. Now, another reason why I think some persons struggle with being vulnerable with their partner can be their past experiences with other partners. Probably they've shared some experiences or they've shared some part of their lives with other partners, and they've greatly been betrayed by those information that they shared. And maybe they have been taken advantage of because of those information that they shared. So their past experiences can also be the reason why they struggle with being vulnerable with their partner, and at other times it could also be the present partner that they are with. So maybe they have just noticed or discerned that the present partner that they are with are not or may not be emotionally mature with handling some of the information that they want to share. So these are some of the reasons why people get to struggle or struggle with their partner when it comes to being vulnerable with them. Now, I think it's important to share this. This is why it is important to be transparent. Now, as time goes on, there should be a level of things that you now start to share, or that your relationship, whether the duration of your relationship or the intensity of your relationship, now gives you the privilege of sharing. Please, when those time comes, it's important that you are transparent and open, so that people know what they are in for, and people know what they need to work on themselves to be able to handle as regards what goes on in your relationship. You see that. Now, I want to share a few signs that you struggle with vulnerability. So this could be your partner, or this could be you. When you find these signs, notice many times that this person is probably struggling with vulnerability, or with being vulnerable with their partner, and this could also be you. So number one of those signs is you consistently find it hard to put your feelings into words. Now, this can happen on a natural basis, but when it becomes often, then it means there's a problem with being vulnerable. You see that you can't always with your partner find it hard to share what you want to share, or what you feel like sharing about. You see that you can't always find, you see, your partner is one person that you should be closest to, and you should find it easy. I think it's Proverbs 18 verse 24. It says, he that is friendly, or he that need friend, must prove himself to be friendly, or prove himself to be friendly. Now, the B part of that verse, or that scripture, says there's actually a brother that sticketh closer. There's a friend rather that sticketh closer than a brother, which is a family now. And that should be your partner. You see that? Your partner should be that friend that's ticket close than a family, so to speak. You see that? And so this is someone that you want to share your deepest part with. This is someone you should be close with. So when you find it hard to put your feelings into words consistently, it's a proof that there is something you find hard to communicate with them. And now, this is not the same with maybe trying to be respectful, or trying to um, put your words in a position that they can get in a loving way. You see that, or that they can understand in a loving way. This is something that consistently happens, where you find it hard to put your feelings into words. Now, this might be because you don't want to share a particular thing, or you find it hard to open up on a particular matter. Now, another sign that your partner is struggling with vulnerability with you, or that you are struggling with vulnerability, is that you dodge some of the pertinent questions of your partner. Now, it might not even be important questions necessarily. For instance, if I ask my partner, what do you think about success? And they consistently give me, let's talk about this later, let's talk about it another time. You see that it's a proof they are afraid to talk about something when it comes to success. What do you think about responsibility? What do you think about your career? What are you doing about your career? And for instance, they always dodge these kind of questions. What do you want to be in the next 5 years? Or what do you see yourself becoming in the next 10 years? What are your plans for the next 10 years? And they don't always want to talk about these important and pertinent questions. Pertinent questions, I meant to say. You see, that's a proof that there's something that is going wrong. You see, and it's important to say this. I've said it a lot of times that in this part of the world, we are all part of the divide. I meant to say, if you are in the world or on earth, you see, you will consistently find people that are not perfect, people that consistently have a weakness that they are working on, and you are part of us. You see that? And so the idea is not afraid of being wrong. The idea is, do you want to work on it? You see that? When that man was just lonely, or walking alone in the Garden of Eden, God says, it is not good that this man be alone, that I will make for him a helpmeet. So you can't be hiding important things from the person that is called to help you. And now, when I say help me, that is vice versa, both for the guy and for the female now, or for the lady. You see that? So you can't hide important matters from the person that is called to help you. They wouldn't be able to help you that way. And so when you have a problem with something, the idea or the way to move ahead as regards that thing is not to hide it from your partner. It is to talk about it. So one of the reasons they wouldn't want to talk about it is because they just feel like maybe you will see them in a particular light, maybe you will see them as not being fine, maybe you will see them as not being good for you. You see that? So that might be another symptom, or another sign now, I meant to say, that your partner is struggling with vulnerability, when they dodge important or pertinent questions. Now, another sign that your partner is struggling with vulnerability or being vulnerable with you is that they are stingy with their time. You see, the truth is, time is an important factor in any relationship. And time is how you get to know people. Time is how you get to rub off on people. Time is how you get to understand people. Time is how people get to convey their hearts to you. You see that? So, time essentially is how you get to know people. So, when you find out that people give excuses for why they can't have time with you consistently, and you are in a relationship, it's also a proof that they are not being vulnerable with you, or they are struggling with something they don't want you to know about. You see that? Now, another sign that you are struggling with vulnerability is that you get angry easily. You see that you get angry easily, you make your feels about things that necessarily should not cause a problem. You get angry easily. So, someone asks you, what do you think about success? Or someone just sees something, maybe you and your partner are seeing something, and you're asking, is that person responsible? And you just get angry. You give excuse for why you should be angry. You just get angry easily about things that you naturally just bring about steady and a smooth conversation. You probably will get angry. Maybe they ask things that bothered on now, and that this is the reason why we should come to a point where we are good people. We work on ourselves. You see that, and we have better orientation. Now, when you are working on yourself, when you are trying as much as possible to be a better person, the things that you are not yet good at, you also want to be good at them. So you are not then afraid to make people see that you are working on it, or you are a work in progress in that area. You see that? So when you get angry easily at simple questions that should just construct or start or kick off a conversation or a smooth conversation, when you get angry easily at them, it's a proof that you are hiding something, or you don't want to talk about something. You are asking your partner, what do you think about being a wife? What do you think about being a husband? Was that man responsible? Should that woman have done that? And they get angry, or they just excuse it somehow, or they just make a fuss about it. Why should you ask me that kind of question? Why, what do you mean by asking me that kind of question? You see that? Do you mean I'm not a successful person? Do you mean I'm not fine? It's a proof that there's a problem. And I think I should say this at this point. When you find that and you talk to your partner about it, if they are not willing to change or to do something that makes them become better, I tell you, it's not a road you want to walk. Now, I'm not saying that people cannot be at this point and there's a place for their partner helping them. In fact, we're going to discuss many of those things. There's a possibility that I even make this video have a part two. But what I'm saying is, when you find these things and you speak with them about it, or you find a time to talk to them about it, and they are not willing to see it, I tell you, it's not a road you want to walk. Yeah, it's not a path you want to walk. So when you find out that they get angry about things that should be a normal conversation, it's because they are struggling with vulnerability and you want to talk to them about it. Now, another thing is, or another sign is, when you see them, or when you consistently want to portray yourself in a particular image to your partner. You see, when you consistently grow, when you have come to the point where you know by yourself that it's important to consistently grow, you are not growing because you want to prove to someone, you are growing because you know that it is right. And everything that is on earth should be intentional about growing. You will not be impressing people. So, for instance, you must have seen your lady as a partner, maybe when she wants to eat or when she wants to dish her food. Apart from the fact that she has washed the plates or the sets of plates she used before, or she wants to use, I meant to say. Now, when she's picking that plate, she then goes ahead to rinse it before she dishes her food. Now, you don't do that because you saw that, does not mean you should just do that to make the person feel like you're also a good person, or you are also this kind of person. No, you don't do that. Now, I'm not saying you can't learn from things. Do you see that? But I'm saying that it should not be born out of the fact that you want them to see you in a particular light, what you have not become. That you want to portray a particular image to them. No, that's not a sign that you're a correct person. So change because it is important to change, because you have found the reason. And you see, this can even lead to a conversation. So they probably see you not doing it and they ask you, why you not raising it, or should you not raise it? It would be good to raise it. Oh, I didn't see it like that. Oh, but since you say it is good. Maybe when they give you a reason or they give you a set of reasons, then you can then do it. But don't do it in a bid to impress them when you don't even know the reason they do it. You see that? So another sign that you are struggling with vulnerability is when you find yourself consistently trying to portray a self-image to your partner. And this makes me want to speak with some persons now, their partner that obviously have spoken about one of the partner wanting to grow about something, and there's also a possibility that you want your partner to see you in a particular light. I want to tell you this: if you and your partner have spoken about it and you are intentionally wanting to grow, please don't portray anything. Just consistently want to grow. When you consistently try to grow, when you consistently practice, when you consistently become better, when your heart is to consistently grow at that thing, a time will come, you will be that, and you will not have to impress. You see that? You will not have to do anything that has to do with maybe eye service and all that. So when you consistently want to portray a particular image to your partner that you are not, is a proof that you are not vulnerable with your partner. I think another one that is in my mind is when you try to separate your partner from the rest of your life. You see that? It is also because you don't want them to see some area of your lives. Maybe you don't want them to see the academic area of your life. You don't want them to see the spiritual area of your life. But you are going to be one. Both of you are supposed to be one. They should know all these things. And in fact, that's how they can help you. You see that? That's how you guys can grow together. You must have heard me say that love is actually a sport where you find two humble people consistently waving ignorance goodbye. You see that? It is two imperfect people consistently working at being perfect. So if they cannot undo who you are, now I'm not saying this to mean that then people, because I've seen people come up with the idea of if you can't take me for this, then leave me. And that is wrong. If what you are talking about is something that you should be working on. Somebody is so disrespectful or somebody is abusive, and the person then still go ahead to say this is who I am, or this is who we are in our family, this is how we act in our family. If you can't take me for that, then go away. That's wrong. So that's not necessarily what I'm saying, but I'm saying that you can actually be at a point where people understand that this is who you are and you want to grow. So for the point or for the seasons where you are growing, they understand that this is who you are and you're not trying to portray another kind of image to them. So you have to understand that it is two imperfect people coming to work on themselves. So there's no point hiding anything. So when you try to always hide the rest of your life from your partner, is a proof that you are not vulnerable with them, or that you're struggling with being vulnerable with them. Now, this is very, very important to say to the partners of those that are not being vulnerable or that are struggling with this concept. There are three things that actually should be in place if you want people to be vulnerable. It's more like a rule of thumb for vulnerability, and these people don't talk about it. Now, location is the first one, the second one is intention, while the third one is atmosphere. So these are three things that should be available when you sincerely want people to be vulnerable. Now, location talks to the atmosphere. You can't have been a liar for the most part of a relationship, or you can't have been told several things and you get back at people with them, or you use those informations to take advantage of them and you expect them to consistently become vulnerable with you. So the location is a relationship, right? And if the relationship must be healthy, the concept of vulnerability must be a part of it. Now, if you want people to be vulnerable, they will be vulnerable because they have found the location and the atmosphere to be a place that is easy for them to be vulnerable. A judgmental atmosphere will not make people vulnerable. It's an atmosphere of love, an atmosphere of wanting people to grow, an atmosphere of acceptance that allows for people to actually become vulnerable. Now, number two is the intention. Now, this has to do with the person that is being vulnerable. Now, if you discern that this is a relationship and vulnerability is an important part of this relationship, you must be vulnerable. Like I told you before now, that vulnerability is an intentional strength. So one of the intentions of you being vulnerable is that you have understand that this is your partner, and to do life well with them or to have a healthy relationship, you must be vulnerable with them. You must be able to open up things that you find hard to open up, whether weaknesses or strength, to them if you must grow. Now, another reason or another intention why you are opening up to them or being vulnerable with them is that you are telling them that you honor them. You are telling them that you trust them, and you are telling them that they are an important part of your life. Now, the other third rule of thumb that must be available when you are being vulnerable or in an atmosphere that will allow for you to be vulnerable is the association. The association talks to your partner. Now, this is your partner, but they must have earned it. It's not something they force you to do. It's not something they expect you to do when they've not proven to be trustworthy. It's not something they expect you to do when they've not proven to secure you in past times. When they've not proven that they have emotional intelligence to undo the things that you share with them. You see that? So very, very important is the rule of thumb that allows to find an atmosphere that it's easy to be vulnerable. And there are three: it is intention, the location, I meant to say the intention, and the atmosphere. So I'll be stopping this video at this point so as to allow you to seamlessly watch it. I wouldn't want it to be stretched for so long. So in the next video, which will be like a series or part two of this, I'll be talking about the dangers of not being vulnerable with your partner, and I also mentioned how you can now then help your partner to become more vulnerable. And so thank you for watching this to this point, and I believe it will strongly bless you and help you if you finish watching the second one also. Thank you so much. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like and share to people that this will bless. Thank you so much for being here with me. God bless you. I love you.